Good morning. Happy Monday. Um, I am, I'm a lot of things. So first, I'm going to tell you that I don't have a Cliff Notes for you for this episode, this conversation episode. I don't have Cliff Notes for you. So I am going to be talking about business models and this conversation that I've seen coming up very recently again, although it's a conversation that I've been watching people have about network marketing, MLMs, direct sales, and I'm going to put affiliates in there. So if you were automatically turned off by that, you're probably not still here at this point. However, I am going to say some things from a perspective that is more than 2 decades in now. And I'm speaking to people who are either in one of these business models and or people who have opinions about these business models from the outside in. I'm also speaking to people who know that they need some other source of revenue and haven't figured out how to do that for themselves. I'm speaking to a lot of people. So I don't have a Cliff Notes. I can't sum up what my point is for you. However, I am asking people to go back to thinking for yourselves, because what I've been noticing is that there are a lot of people out there, especially in the healing community, the energy medicine practitioner community, all of it. I'll put it all in the healer community. And particularly all of these accounts. They're all social media accounts that I'm responding to and have been watching and seeing this thread of conversation. They're all women. They're all run by women, which I find very interesting, because the commentary is from these women that these business models are bad. They're untrustworthy. They take advantage of people. And they all get lumped into the pyramid scheme category. And I want to address this. I find it interesting that there are women that I'm seeing disparage these business models, and the models that they're disparaging consistently rank women as the highest earners in these models as well. So that's interesting to me. That's an interesting, I'm going to use the word dichotomy, that I'm not sure that the people who, and I'm going to be very opinionated. Right now, I'm trying to hold myself back because I also want to make sense to people. And I have strong opinions about the opinions of other people who have decided that these business models are untrustworthy, illegal. When someone drops into saying something's a pyramid scheme, someone's calling it an illegal business model. And I'm going to talk about that as well. I did write some notes down just to hit my points, but I want you to understand this is an ongoing conversation. If you feel put off by the conversation and you happen to be in one of those areas, either someone who thinks it's all garbage or someone who, there must be a bird nest nearby. I'm also losing my voice, so we'll see how this goes. But if you're someone in the model, in one of these business models, selling a product or a service for one of these companies and receiving commission for it, I also want you to listen to this, because it can be very easy to be thrown off by someone else's negative opinion about what you are doing. And that is for any of us. And this is one of the points that I want to make. It doesn't matter what the business model is. Somebody's going to have an opinion about what it is that you're doing. Someone is going to have an opinion about the quality or ethicalness of your marketing strategy. And maybe I could just do a full stop there. Maybe it's just enough to say there's always going to be someone out there who has a negative opinion about what it is you're doing, how it is you're showing up, doing that thing, what it is you're selling, how you're selling it, how much money you're making from it. And that knowledge that someone's always going to have a complaint against some aspect of what you're doing or putting out in the world, just knowing that, you need to keep that close. So this idea that direct sales, network marketing, and I'm going to stop there. Direct sales and network marketing, the structures of those business models are similar. And then there's multi-level marketing. They all get grouped together, but I do, and other people will teach. You can go online, you can do research, and don't just land on one page and call that research. Like, dig in there and look around. A multi-level marketing structure is set up differently in terms of compensation, although the marketing piece of it may look the same as direct sales or network marketing. Multi-level marketing structures will use a network to get their product or service out to the community. Now, right there, I just want to remind every single one of us who is selling anything, whether it's a brick and mortar business with earrings or a clothing company or a virtual digital product through Etsy, or your spiritual counseling program. And even though I have spent a lot of time in the spiritual community, and I would consider myself still a member of that community, it's a broad community. What does that even mean? I have very many eye-rolling moments at the attitudes in that community as well. And this is one of them. There is inherently a disconnect between our basic needs for survival on this planet Earth, this 3D dimension, and people seem to think that they don't have to get in there, myself included, have to get in there and make the 3D physical world work as well as the whatever dimension it is that you think you're moving towards or they think they're moving towards. That's one of the things that's just got me hot and bothered today. We are in a physical plane, and yes, there are absolutely ways to use our frequency to master our own individual frequency so that we are pulling things into our vortex, as some people say, or magnetizing things to us, opportunities, resources, etc. The idea that we're not going to be magnetizing them to us through other physical channels is kind of missing the point of being embodied in a physical experience. So again, I do not have a Cliff Notes version for you. You're going to have to take this ride with me because it's a conversation, and I am responding to the people who are objecting to these business models that I'm not hearing a depth of understanding from in them. It's the same arguments that it's a scam, it's a pyramid scheme, people are being taken advantage of, it's gross marketing. All of those statements, with perhaps the exception of a pyramid scheme, and I'll explain what that is based on the legal definition of it in a moment if I remember. But all of those other complaints against a network marketing model or even an MLM can be said of the healing and spiritual community and any other community. You know, people used to have jokes about attorneys and car salesmen and door-to-door salesmen in that category as well, untrustworthy schemes, et cetera, et cetera. Like any business model out there, business model, I'm not talking about the individual business or owner, but the model, how someone has set up their business structure, whether it's virtual or physical. Any business model can be labeled a scam or out of integrity or something that makes too much money. Like the idea that something makes too much money is really interesting to me. What does that even mean, that something makes too much money and that makes it like suspect? We need to think about the conversations that we're letting like hang out in our headspace, especially when we're out there building our own physical resources, which is what a lot of these people are doing in whatever the business model is. So let me just go back and talk about a pyramid scheme. I have listened to people label MLMs, and I'll equate MLMs with network marketing because a multi-level marketing company, they use the network marketing model. And if you don't understand that your business, whatever it is, whether you're a coach or a healer or a physical therapist or a chiropractor or a physician or an attorney or someone selling clothes or lipstick, whatever your business model is, you are relying on the network to get your message out. You may be paying for advertising. You may be setting up an affiliate program for your friends and your neighbors in your community to get the word out for you. But whatever, it does not matter what the business model is. We all rely on networking to get our message out. We rely on other people to show up in our business and pay us money in order for our business to continue thriving, surviving, thriving, and then growing. So network marketing is not a dirty word, and we need to understand that every single one of us who has something that we need to get out into the world, we are going to need a network of some kind to get to help us. We all require it. So a pyramid scheme, if something is truly a pyramid scheme and it's reported and it's investigated, it will be shut down. A pyramid scheme is illegal. It cannot function. So if you see a business, something that's fronting as a business, and you report it to whoever you report it to, Better Business Bureau, etc., if that business is investigated and it turns out that they are in fact set up as a pyramid scheme, which means people are being asked to contribute money to something, some service or product that they never receive, but the person collecting or the company collecting the money keeps collecting the money without returning something in exchange. If there is no exchange, that is a pyramid scheme. We cannot call multi-level marketing companies pyramid schemes. People are buying a kit, they're getting something in return. They're getting a product. It may or may not be a great product, but that's not what's being called out here. People are labeling a swath and a range of businesses as a pyramid scheme when they are not. And we need to take that out of our language. If we each go around disparaging someone else's business model because we don't like it or we don't understand it or we personally failed at it ourselves, that is not the same as that business model being illegal, which is a big claim, or a scam. It's not the same. So get really clear about what it is you don't like about a business model, and then be very clear in your language when you're trying to educate or inform people about this business model in question. So all these business models out there being called pyramid schemes, if they're still functioning and there have been a lot of complaints against them, they have been found not to be a pyramid scheme. They're still functioning. Pyramid schemes are illegal. They are not allowed to function once the light is turned on them. They're not allowed to function. Doesn't mean they're not out there. It just means that so many business models that are being called pyramid schemes are not actually pyramid schemes. They are returning something to people in exchange for that money, that investment. And that is different. That is not the same thing. So I've been paying attention to this for years. I have shared this part of my life before in some of my other video conversations. I was introduced to a network marketing, maybe it's a multi-level marketing company, but I'm going to call it a network marketing because that's what we did. We built networks. I did this, my first company was when I was 19 years old. At 19, I already knew that I was not fit, I was not designed to go out and get a job. I didn't know what else was available to me, and it took me several years after that to find work that actually felt fulfilling and meaningful. But prior to that, I was looking for options, and someone introduced me and my entire family to Amway. And my parents decided to do that work, and as a result of watching them and wanting what they wanted, which was liberation from a controlled income. So without getting into too much of my story, my parents were looking at their future and realized that, at least based on what they were seeing, they were going to be limited to a paycheck once retirement hit. And that's what a lot of people do. That's what a lot of people are thinking about. If they're retirement age or coming up on it in a decade or so, people are starting to think, how am I going to support myself going down the road in the future? What can I do to maintain my level of my lifestyle or increase it? These are questions that we're all asking. We may not be asking them about finances, like how can I increase my finances? And I say that because, right now there's this movement to go off grid. A lot of people are on their Instagram feeds talking about the land that they've bought or the land that they're buying. And that's another version of, how can I make my money go further? How can I improve my quality of life? These are questions that people are asking when they make a commitment to a network marketing model. And I think from now on, I'm just going to focus on the words, the language network marketing, because MLM it's derogatory. It's used and it's meant to be a derisive title or statement about a business model, which is meant to automatically turn people off. And it's not that simple. It's not that simple. And there are plenty of healers and channelers and, people who regard themselves with a lot of self-respect in terms of the work that they're doing, who are in an industry or a field where there are a lot of people who have taken people's money, who have done the same things that these healers and channelers and whoever else is out there, throwing their opinions at the network marketing model. We are also in an industry that has taken advantage of people. So this idea that one industry is elevated over another, we need to step out of that. We need to understand what people are trying to do, and we need to have some awareness around the fact that there are people making money. This is the thing that I'm witnessing right now. People are making money in these companies and these business models that other people for decades of my life have said are a scam. And people have always made money in these marketing models. What I understand at this point, looking back at my 19-year-old self, is that people who decide, yes, that's the business that's going to be the answer. That's the answer to my prayers. People who make that commitment and make the investment of time and money often go in with a lack of understanding about what it actually takes to build that business model. And people on the outside of that business model who have either tried one or two companies or have never, because they're too good for it, and I'm just going to throw it out like that. I have been in that mindset before. So I feel like I can say a lot of different things from a lot of different angles at this point. But here's one of my cliff notes or spark notes. Women in this industry of network marketing are the top earners. And one of the reasons that women get into this for themselves is because they have a vision for their family that is above and beyond whatever job and paycheck, hourly wage they're making. Hourly wages, if you want to talk pyramid schemes, and you'll hear people in the network marketing community responding to this pyramid scheme accusation, if you want to talk pyramid schemes, look at how a business with an hourly pay scale is set up and tell me who's at the bottom of that pyramid. Tell me if that pyramid is like this or if it's like inverted. let's just be a little bit more like direct and take our thinking a little bit deeper than it's a scam and a pyramid scheme, because there's a lot more going on in these business models, and a lot more going on in the world of what people are trying to get themselves out of. Do not tell somebody that the thing that they have investigated and researched on their own is not the thing for them if you are not the one living their life and paying their bills. You don't have the right to do that. And if you haven't like been down and dirty in these models yourself and tried to figure it out yourself, then you're not speaking from a place of experience. You're speaking from a place of projection and like external observation about what you think that thing is about. Now, I will also say to people who are looking at a business opportunity that is set up on a network marketing, which means that you are going to make a financial investment. You have to pay money into a business model of any kind. It does not matter what it is. If you want to make stickers, you're going to have to go buy the materials for the stickers and the machines for the stickers, and then you're going to have to set up the Shopify account or like whatever platform you're going to use. You're going to have to buy materials and perhaps the product to sell the thing. So there is always a financial investment. If you're a massage therapist, you need a table, you need linens, you need training, because your foundational school training is not going to cut it for your career. We are always, always, always needing to invest in our business. So this idea that just because a business model requires an initial investment or an ongoing investment, that does not make it a scam. We have got to get this stuff out of our heads. And I'm not interested in selling the network marketing business model to you. It's not for everybody. What I want to do is, I am tired of remaining silent when I see these women in particular disparaging a business model that they clearly do not understand, because they're just stopping at it's a scam and it takes advantage of people. There's no depth to that statement. That has happened, and it has happened in every business model that we have on this planet, including the business model of religion. So that's everybody. I want to go back to those of you who are looking at, somebody has introduced a product to you, you're seeing advertisements and products on online somewhere on one of your platforms. You have got to understand that you're going to have to work for this. It is not going to come easy. And one of the ways in which it's not going to be easy is you are going to hear a whole lot of opinions from the outside world and even from within your business community about how it's not going to work. And so much of the network marketing business model for people who go into someone else's company and sell someone else's product, there is something to be said for being the visionary who created the product and is getting that product out, and they're going to have to hire a sales force at some point as well. But when we go in and we sell someone else's product, there is a part of us that's missing the vision of the design of the product and the passion for the design of the product. So you have to find your own mission and passion. You are hopefully doing your research and choosing your product or your service well, and hopefully you're making an aligned choice. So you really believe in the mission of the person who created the product or service that you're selling, that you're choosing to sell. It is also worth acknowledging that if we aren't the one who made the thing, we have to come in with an additional set of vision and purpose and motivation to keep us focused on that path. Because the world is going to come at us and tell us that this thing that we're selling or this service that we're providing isn't of value, that it isn't trustworthy. And I'm thinking of my years as a massage therapist. There are plenty of people who still to this day continue to say that massage is too expensive. And it's fascinating to me. It's even more fascinating to me when I hear that from someone whose income level is more than mine. Like, or someone who like this is a common comparison to make, but someone who has a regular coffee habit, like you're going out and buying coffee every day at a coffee shop. Coffees these days, they're like, for many of us, they're upwards of $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 for a coffee. If you're a smoothie person and you're out there buying a smoothie that someone else has made for you, the last smoothie I paid for, I was not expecting it, and this is cheap actually, because I think about other places in town, but it was $9 for a smoothie. My point is, people are always going to complain about what we're doing. It does not matter what you're doing. If you are a clothing designer and you're not using natural fabrics or natural dyes, somebody's going to complain about that. Someone's going to complain about your prices, whether it's a thing that you have made with your own hands or whether it's a thing that you've decided to partner with and sell on behalf of someone else or some other company. Affiliate marketing is another, it falls in that line as well. I think affiliate marketing gets a pass because typically in affiliate marketing, only the company is recruiting for affiliates or making the affiliate program available to other people. Whereas in network marketing, part of the business plan is we're selling the business or the service, and then also a network marketer is going to be looking to build their own sales force. Now, the interesting thing about this for me is there's regional sales managers all over the country. I think this goes on in other countries as well. I can only speak for the North America right now, the United States. It is so interesting to me that people miss the connection between regional sales managers in, say, the salon industry. That's an industry that I worked in for a number of years. Somebody had a regional territory and they sold product, and they may have managed other salespeople in that region. Now, they may or may not have, depending on the company, been getting a commission from the people in their sales force. What is the difference? And I'm asking a question, but it's not really a question. The statement is there is no difference. There's no difference between someone who's selling for XYZ network marketing company, who's building a sales team to help them get the product out to even more people. There's no difference, except that the payment is different. The commission capacity is potentially different. It depends on the company that you choose. That is something else that's really important to investigate and explore, is the compensation plan. You want a good compensation plan for your efforts. You want a good compensation plan for your efforts. You are going to have to put a lot of work into this if you're gonna go with a network marketing company or even an affiliate marketing company. If you're gonna be an affiliate for someone, you're gonna have to figure out how to sell the thing that you've decided to represent. It's no different. It's the same thing. I'll say it this way. It's the same thing if you are, again, deciding to open a brick and mortar, or I have a lot of clothing makers and jewelry makers in my social media field, and I really enjoy them and love I love things that are handmade. So that's why I'm using that example a lot. These people have to work. My friends, I've known people back in earlier years who had a clothing company. They didn't make the clothes. They bought the clothes from someone else. They wholesaled the clothes. They bought them wholesale and then went out and sold them. But they had to travel around and sell, which is like being a door-to-door salesman, except that people come to you. It's not different. It's the same thing. People have to do the same things to get their thing out into the world. So this idea that because someone has events and invites people to their events, the idea that that's somehow suspect is bullshit. If you're sitting there doing a meditation circle, and at the end of the meditation or the beginning of the meditation circle, you do an introduction on who you are and what other services you offer, you're doing the same thing. You have a network now. You are demonstrating your product or service, and you're letting them know how they can get more from you. It's the same thing. Do not pretend that somebody else's business model is different from your business model because you feel better or good about the service that you're offering. Don't do that. Don't do that to people. And then on your video feed, so this is what happened. This is the first thing that happened. I was sitting here watching a video feed of this person, a lot of followers. And this person does spiritual work. We'll just call it that. This person does spiritual work and gives a lot of tips to other people. And in the comment thread, one of her viewers was making a connection, was relating and sharing about this particular product that they use to make this thing. And I'm familiar with the product that this viewer shared. And no biggie, nobody responded. The person may or may not have been trying to let people know, hey guys, you know, I'm a rep of this. They didn't say anything like that. They just said, oh, I use this when I'm making this thing. And the person hosting the conversation said, don't use that. They're a scam. And I think what she said was they're a pyramid scheme, which is synonymous with scam when people are using it. And first of all, the company in question is not a pyramid scheme. I'm very familiar with this company. I'm very familiar with companies like this company, and it's not a pyramid scheme. It's just not. So, first of all, false information. But secondly, I'm watching the comments, and the person who made the comment, apparently because they didn't do their own research, so again, do your own research, use your own brain, think for yourself, but they responded saying, oh, I didn't know. And again, maybe the person was just going along with it. Maybe they didn't want to say anything back in terms of actually it's not, or, you know, whatever. But I'm thinking of all the hundreds of other people who are watching this conversation and getting this information about a product that is actually perfectly fine. And in that particular industry, this particular product, I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of professional experience with that line and many other lines, many other brands in that particular line. So I felt very confident in thinking to myself, bullshit. I call bullshit on your calling bullshit. You don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say anything though, because it was that person's live, that person's opinion, not my wild horses to round up. But I have since, in the past 2 or 3 weeks, experienced other women in the healing profession making these blanket statements about the entire business model. And I feel like people are missing the point, especially when women are wanting to empower other women to you know, get your money right, make yourself more available, more free to be with your family, like all these things that women talk about. And then I'm seeing these women disparage these companies that you don't know anything about. And it's clear because in your language, you just stop at pyramid scheme or that's a scam. You're not offering any details on why. You're not taking it deep for people. So again, I'm going to repeat. And these are statistics that you can go do your own research. I'm not going to do your research for you. Just go read for yourself if this is a relevant conversation. If it's not a relevant conversation and you don't have an opinion about it, don't contribute to the it's a pyramid scheme or a scam conversation. You're not helping. You're not helping. Again, if you are someone who's looking for a business model, you're looking for a way to increase revenue in your life, and you've been presented with one of these companies, you need to do your research. Ask your questions. It's healthy to be skeptical. If you are looking for opportunities, you are also going to need to be open. You're going to have to find a balance between skepticism and being open to experimenting and exploring. Now, I'm going to tell you, the first handful of companies that I got involved with over the years, it wasn't like back to back, it was over the years. there were a few reasons why I was not successful in them. I was at 19 really insecure about being up in front of anyone selling anything. I also got involved with a company that there were a lot of things product wise in that company that I just wasn't using. I was 19 years old. I wasn't a makeup wearer. They had a beautiful makeup line, but I wasn't wearing makeup. I still don't really wear makeup, so that's not really a good option for me. I didn't own a home, so the household goods were not things that they had a water filtration system. They had an exceptional vacuum cleaner. Like, my parents bought these and I got to experience them, and I know they're quality, well-made products, but I just wasn't like, there wasn't, I'm, maybe I was a supplement taker, but not really. Like, there just wasn't much about the product line in the company that I actually had a relationship with personally. And that's important, to choose a product line or a service, whether it's in a network sales, like a specific network marketing model, or your own personal business. Have some kind of personal relationship with whatever it is you're selling to other people. Now, your personal relationship could very practically be, this is a good moneymaker. I don't really care about the thing itself. I'm not really into this particular type of art, or I'm not into these supplements, or whatever it is. I'm not into massage. Like, I know people who own massage franchises who, like, they're not into it. It's just not something they get, or really, like, they don't get the depth of massage, but they're still a franchise owner. So you can have a very practical, this is a good moneymaker. That's your mission. Like, that's your goal. Maybe not your mission, but like, that's the thing that sells it for you. You got to have something that sells it for you, because it's going to be difficult. If you're out there in a franchise model, and I'm just thinking like fast food franchises or these massage franchises, they have provided the system for you. So these are the colors, this is the decor, this is the menu, this is what we're offering, this is the standard operating procedures for the staff, this is the hierarchy of management, this is the price point. Like, the franchise has put everything together for you, and you just pay whatever amount of money you pay to be able to, like, make that your franchise, to sell the thing. I'm not really sure where I was going with that, and a couple of other things about franchise models are in my head now. But you may not really be in love with the thing, but it's the business model that you're in love with. This thing is going to make me money. It is very similar for these network marketing companies. The business model is going to make you money. Not everyone's successful with a franchise. If you pick the wrong, and I'm going back to a physical franchise, donut shop, coffee shop, like, what a franchise is in that respect. We don't often think of network marketing as franchises, but it's the same concept. Someone has chosen the service or product, they've set a price point to it, there's marketing materials that are already designed and developed for you. You just pay a chunk of money and you run it. You follow the instructions and you run it, just like you follow the instructions for Dunkin' Donuts or Hand and Stone Massage, or like whatever the marketing franchise is. It's the same thing. And we need to understand that it's the same thing. People are they're choosing different systems. Maybe someone's doing a physical whereas someone else is doing all virtual or digital. It's the same thing. It's a franchise model that you decide. You decide if you're going to participate in it. Nobody is telling you that you have to. Now, there's still a lot of FOMO marketing out there, fear of missing out. And this was a big thing when I became a health coach. This was a big marketing tactic that a lot of coaches used, whether they were money coaches or mindset coaches or health coaches. And you can see, like, I'm rolling my eyes, because it's obnoxious to me that people in the healing community in particular want to go after these business models, these like lower vibration business models. And some of them absolutely are, but I've met a lot of low vibration healing artists as well. So you already got me started. We're on the ride. I lose my train of thought with this conversation. A franchise in the physical is the same idea as a franchise in the virtual. And I'm really interested in people starting to understand the similarities there. Your products may be different. Your products are going to be different, but products are different across all business models. You can be an attorney and specializing in estate law versus criminal law. Like, that's a product profile that business has. There's a lot of good thought-provoking information that I'm giving here. So a network marketing, you can even say MLM, but I don't even like that language, because it's really just meant to dismiss and diminish a business model that does work for people. It works for people. Yes, people who, if I'm inviting you in, I'm going to be ahead of you, and I may be making more money than you. Maybe. That's actually not the case. It's not always the case, and maybe even often it's not the case. The interesting thing about a network marketing business opportunity or franchise opportunity is that the person who introduces you to the product or the service could quit the business. That happens all the time. Could get caught up in other things in their life. That happens all the time. And that's one of the beauties of that business model. It's not like a brick and mortar where if you don't show up for a few days, like, your rent and your lights are being cut off. If you have to go deal with other parts of your life, which people often do, which is one of the reasons why people love this model. I have read and witnessed enough stories to know that this is a real thing, where people have injuries or people have health crises that come into their lives, or they have relationship crises, divorces, deaths, and they have built enough of this network marketing franchise model to be able to at least cover some expenses in their life while they're not working it. That is huge for a lot of people, to be able to step away from something out of necessity and still have an income coming in, because they have created a base or a foundation or a network of people who are also being taught how to generate this revenue for themselves. I don't know where I was going with that initial thread. What I want to say is, whatever the business is that you choose to do for yourself, whether it's a cake making business or a network marketing style business, you're going to have to work. These businesses don't happen for many of us based on pure luck. Some people can step out, throw a sign up for whatever it is they're doing, and people will just drop in. That has definitely happened. But for most of us, with whatever the business is, yoga, meditation, selling cars, whatever it is, I'm just trying to cover different areas of life. You have to work. You have to show up on the camera. You have to show up in the emails. You have to show up in your advertising and marketing. Advertising and marketing costs money. One of the reasons why people can be paid so well in the network marketing franchise model is because the company is not advertising on billboards or on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. The company is marketing through the people, the humans who have invested in the product in some kind of way and are now being the billboard for on behalf of the company, and then they get compensation for that. It's a sales force. It's nothing nefarious. It's a fucking sales force. We are all out here selling something. I really encourage you, if you feel high and mighty about what it is you're selling compared to what somebody else is selling, leave them alone. Let people sell what they're selling. I'm not talking about things like, you know that I'm not talking about going out and creating harm for people. So I'm just not even going to address that. Your widget over here works for you. So work your widget and let this person over here work their widget. If you have valuable, useful, insightful information for someone that can help them make better decisions, offer that information. Don't just land in there and say something's a scam or it's a pyramid scheme without backing it up. I can't tell you how many people have walked out of a channeling session where they paid hundreds of dollars for bullshit information that didn't feel resonant or relevant at all. Just because you have a spiritual, just because you're able to inhabit and embody your spiritual professional identity, doesn't mean that everybody with spiritual gifts is meant to make their money from that thing. Just because you're an artist and you're able to generate your income and support your family through your art doesn't mean that everyone with artistic skill is meant or desires to make money from their art. They may have found a business model that serves their financial needs and allows them to have an independent relationship with the other gifts that they have. It's a way of being your own patron. If you have a business model that's not related to the gifts that you have in terms of like what we think of as gifts these days. Somebody having strong accounting skills is a gift. Somebody having strong organizing skills is a gift. Someone who can get out there and learn an advertising marketing program and apply it in their business, that's a gift. Gifts aren't limited to clairaudience and like sound bowls and being able to put color combinations together that are pleasing. Like that's not the only set of gifts that people have. Having practical, material, Taurus related, Capricorn related, Virgo related gifts, and those archetypes have creative gifts as well, but we tend to think of gifts as just being these magical, beautiful things, and they're not. It is okay if you have decided to apply your practical gifts to a business that seems a little bit dry to others. And this is the part of me that's like really activated in this conversation right now, because I have been struggling. I have access to a business model that has an exceptional compensation plan, like the profit sharing plan in the business model that I have invested in. It's healthy. It's really, really healthy. And yet part of me has been struggling with, but it's not pretty. Like it's not a pretty business. And people have all sorts of complaints about it because again, it gets grouped into this, it's a this kind of thing situation. So I've been struggling with, it's not using my gifts and I really want to put out creativity and artistry in this. But as I have been working through this, and this is the thing about any kind of business that you are going to step into, again, whether it's you as the sole creative director bringing your internal vision to life, or whether it's you saying, wow, this person over here made a really incredible service or piece of equipment and I want to get that out to more people and it also pays me really well. Whatever it is that gets you motivated to take action in your business, you're going to have a lot of internal work to do. There's going to be all sorts of doubts that come up. You're going to talk yourself out of all sorts of good moves. And if you're listening to someone else's negative opinion about whether or not you can make the bakery work or the candy shop work or the photography business work, if you're like dealing with your own self-doubts and then you're taking on other people's doubts about what's possible or like whether the market's saturated or not, you're gonna get knocked out and pulled out of your own vision very quickly. So much of the work that goes into building any kind of business, any kind of revenue stream for you, because we like to say that we go into business because we want to help people and we want to serve people, but we can do that for free. If you're building a business model, you have to have an income. That's what makes it a business. So when we step into that stage of expression, it is the inner us that needs to be reined in. If you follow the tarot, like the chariot is something that becomes a very important archetype. Like our minds are taking us this way and they're taking us this way, maybe in the sense that part of you believes in it and part of you doesn't. And so we have to bring ourselves back to center, and so that we can move in a direction towards our goal and accomplish things. You might be someone who's like got a dozen different ideas. You're going to have to choose. You're going to have to like pare that menu down and select 5 items instead of 15 to start, or you're going to have to choose those 2 colors to start working with because maybe your budget doesn't allow you to like take all the colors on. Again, I'm giving you ideas because we all fit into this. We all fit into this conversation around what's a legitimate business model and what's not, who's successful in a business model and who's not, and why not. The number one thing that seems to take people down is lack of clarity on the vision and belief that we can get there. And when we let other people pull us off of our path, that's on us. That's on us. We're not clear. We haven't brought a community of people in that we can trust, who are also doing the hard work of building a thing, of bringing something to life that is a vision. And I'm also talking to people who feel very opinionated about other people's choices and haven't lived through the thing that you're criticizing. That's one thing. Or have lived through the thing you're criticizing and haven't decided to be honest about the fact that you got caught up in doubt and fear, or you chose a product line that wasn't actually aligned with you. You didn't work the system. You didn't practice patience. Like, these are all things that go into any kind of business model. We have to invest time and money into building a business at some point. There are businesses that you can get started off with like minimal pennies or some kind of trade or exchange, and then you reinvest that money back into your product line and expand from there. But it still requires resources of some kind, and we have to get those resources from somewhere. So just to recap, I've been seeing more conversations, primarily from women right now in the healing space, who are condemning and vilifying are the words that come to mind. Disparaging the network marketing business model. And I have spoken about this before, and I may spend a little bit more time speaking about it going forward. But it is a legitimate business model. These are legitimate business models. There are companies that are organized better than other companies. There are companies that have a much better pay schedule than other companies, a much better compensation plan. There are companies whose products and services are far superior than others, either in their class or just across the board in the industry. If a company is brand new and you're considering it, do your research, just like you would do, hopefully, your research on anything that's brand new that's coming into your life that you're considering investing time and money into. You need to do your own follow-up and your own thinking about it. Some of these companies that people, have such strong opinions against have been in practice for decades. And I can think of oil and gas companies and utility companies and how we can say, just because a company's been in practice for decades doesn't mean it's a quality company or an ethical company, etc. And there's something to be said for the products and the services of companies, and even the sales force and business model and compensation plan of companies that have been around for decades, multiple decades. They're still around for reasons that aren't just limited to their nefarious dealings or their lies and shenanigans. Like, they have built something, created something that works. So if you're hearing someone disparage a company, whether it's a network marketing based model or a brick and mortar model, and they're disparaging it, saying that the product's ineffective or it's, just somehow untrustworthy, go look into the company, go read for yourself, read the company's materials, read reviews about the companies, go compare to other companies in their class, do your research. We are coming into a time where people are going to have to start reading again. You're going to have to start reading for yourself, slowing down, taking time to gather your own information and make up your own mind, especially if you want to change your life, if you want to expand your life. We cannot rely on other people's opinions. We can use other people's opinions as a jump off point and take their information and go investigate further for ourselves. That's one of the reasons why we share information. But stopping at somebody else's ideas or opinions is stopping at that person's life and not living our own. That is what I would like people to do. If you're out there and you're hustling on behalf of a company and that company is paying you well and you like the hours and you like the people that you're meeting, keep doing that thing if it's working for you. If you're looking for opportunities and you keep getting thrown off track, and the track that you're on is, I need something that works better for my life, that's the track you're on. If you're getting thrown off by other people's opinions about the things that you're looking at, you need to do your own research. You can keep those opinions in mind. So-and-so said this thing is not to be trusted, and go investigate it. And if you decide that it's not to be trusted, then you have made your decision for yourself. You have not just stopped at some random comment in the thread or someone who's got hundreds of thousands of followers who just threw out this offhanded comment. And some of the comments are not offhanded. Some of the comments, they have taken time to write some words more than scam, run as fast as you can in the other direction. And still, their opinions need to be investigated if it is going to be something that is going to turn you in a different direction from the direction that you were headed in. If you're headed in a direction, you are the one who has to do the research and gather the information for yourself that's going to help you make the best decision for yourself. Just because someone looks like an authority figure in something doesn't mean that they have direct experience in the thing they're telling you to do or not to do. Yeah. So I'm going to stop here. I'll probably come back to this conversation. I'm going to say that the network marketing franchise model, it's built like a franchise model. It's a valid way of doing business and building revenue and financial resources for yourself, if that's what you choose to do. You have to do your research on the companies that you're investigating, experience the products, talk to people, and understand that everyone's having a different experience. People are operating at different levels of personal commitment and personal understanding about whatever business they're in. And this goes for like hands-on. I'm thinking about the variation on the theme of massage therapy that you can get if you sit down and talk to 15 different therapists, or meditation, or channeling. So it becomes really important to understand how to read your own signals. This is where that intuition and instinct and knowing your own body and your own antenna, your own vessel as a communicator and a GPS system. But don't let someone throw you off your own game just because they don't like the game you're playing. That's one of my messages. I am in a group of business builders right now, and I am watching people struggle through various levels of mental belief. And I have been watching recently some of those people who've been struggling and, this isn't working, what am I doing wrong, et cetera, hitting their breakthroughs. This stuff takes work. This stuff being building a life that makes sense to you based on your own values and principles and dreams and desires. And again, doesn't matter if you're doing it virtually through somebody else's business model or through your own inner generative creativity. It doesn't matter what the model is. It takes work and effort. You're going to be tired. You're going to talk yourself out of things. You're going to want to quit. That's all a part of it. You need to understand why you're there. You need to understand what you're doing. You need to understand the model that you've chosen and why you've chosen it and why you're committed to it, or why you're not committed to it any longer if you've decided, no, that's actually not the direction I need to go. Somebody standing on the outside of your life cannot make those decisions for you. And they have a whole different set of values, opinions, beliefs, and experiences that lead them to say whatever it is they're going to say about your business model. Now, you can take the time to educate them, give them a different experience of it. And again, I'm thinking of channelers and healers. There's a lot of bad channelers and healers out there who just, whatever it is they're offering is trash. It's just trash. And that's in every business model. There's just people who just offer trash. That's their level of relationship with it. There are also exceptional practitioners and professionals in every business model, and you can offer an elevated experience for people and help them come out of the negative experience they had prior that had them believing that your thing, your widget, wasn't to be trusted or wasn't worth the money or time that you were asking them to invest with you in. But do not let somebody else's offhanded social media opinion drive you off your path and your purpose. And I'm seeing people do that with what seems like carelessness to me when it comes to the network marketing model. And I have seen people making a good living with the network marketing model. It requires work. And I think as we continue to move into this new era of people really questioning and being very deliberate and intentional in how they spend their energy in terms of the money that they're generating in their lives, I believe that the network marketing model is going to have to change. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I'm thinking in terms of how people do their work, things are going to need to become more automated in order for it to really be a freedom model in terms of the amount of time that people are spending. The compensation, though, people are changing their entire lives. And it's a lot of women with children who are changing their entire lives, and it's worth it to them. So don't be the person on the outside of that thinking that you know something about an experience someone else is having. People have worked for their money. I am thinking of a handful of people right now who started with nothing in these businesses and did the work that they were taught to do and are able to support themselves and their communities in ways that they only dreamed about, literally, when they started. It's real. And it's real work. It takes real effort and real focus. It takes real investment of your real time and your real money. Just like any other business would. I'm done. Have a good day.